This morning I remembered why I stopped reading Codex Alexandrinus. It's because I don't know Greek, and sometimes it's like I don't know, like I just don't know because like okay, so there's Eugelion Katamarka, and then there's this squiggle at the bottom, which you think is going to be another letter, but there's no S in Greek, and so that's the title for Mark at the end of Mark. And then there's the title at the beginning of the capitula, is what they call it, which is the table of contents, and it says Takata Markon Euagelion Gelia ein periaxis. So what is a periaxis? I think that is actually what the table of contents is. Like that's the word for, because every time that there's a thing in the table of contents, it starts with peri. So like you can know it goes up to there, but the title here is Eugelion Katamarka. So like, but what we see is that he's calling him Markon there, just like Yeza on is what I've claimed his name is, and then there's Aaron, and here's Yeza on again, and so like that goes along with what I've been saying is they're the ands. I have a lot of trouble saying it. And yesterday I did this poem, or I went through this poem in Genesis, which is very hard to see, and that's why I need it in a font. And that's why like when the British Museum like gives me like the biggest bullshit thing of all time and says, "Here, you can go read our Bible. We have it. We even gave you the text." It's like, no, you didn't. And that's why I need a team both combining OCR with like checking the OCR against the letters. Like I need real people doing it, because I do want to be able to read it like this, which like is hard enough to read because it's Kaitan Yulian, Kaitan are Kayen, Kaitan us in Nayen, Kaitan are Alien, Kaitan za Marian, Kaitan Amali. And I think that like when you hear it, you clearly know that it has a rhyme and meter to it. It's not just a rhyme, like there's meter, like it's a poem in Genesis, like the oldest book in Greek, pretty much, I think, is probably that one. I don't know what the oldest book in Greek is. Probably someone would say it's another one like the Iliad or something like that, which is actually called Elias, which is a very common character in the Bible, if you actually read Greek. So like the name of the book Iliad about this town, I was talking about this book Elias, which is the book, the Iliad, which is maybe the oldest book. I don't know what the oldest books are in Greek, but I do know that like the story of Elias is that Apollo, not Apollo, because remember in Corinthians, Paul, what they say to him is like, "You're of Apollos." And he says like, "Well, is that big of a deal if I'm Paul, if I'm Apollo?" And so like, but that also has a connection to the word destruction, which makes me wonder like, do I even know what that word means sometimes? But like, so Paul gets mad over some stuff, over someone taking his wife, and so he brings a plague to a walled city, which I've proved is Jerusalem by looking at the birds in the region, and a description in the Iliad of a giant dragontis, a dragon, which in the Bible, the dragon's so scary, like which had like certain colors, like a certain bird. It eats other birds in the top of the trees. There are no snakes that climb in the top of trees, and so I proved that it was like the national bird of Israel, that it was actually describing that got attacked by Zeus's eagle. And so, like with the help of Origen of Alexandria, like he told me like how to figure out that Jerusalem is the walled city. So there was this plague that was brought to Jerusalem by Apollo. And so like in the Bible, Jesus is always talking to these people, right? And he says that like, if you think this person's a sinner because they're sick, then you're sinning. He's saying like, if you're saying that the reason that they're sick is a demon, then that is a sin that you're saying that. That is not true. And so like this guy's the judge over the whole land, and he's saying that that's not a demon. He actually believes in real illness. Like he's a smart person. And so like, but like, why were they so afraid of like disease and stuff like that? That was because the Iliad, the story of the Iliad, which is actually called Elias, which is like a very important thing to find out that it's called Elias, because Elias is that common of a character in the Bible. So, plagues have happened a lot throughout history. I think that like the fact that I like what has scared me the most always is the Spanish flu. Like knowing that like we're all so afraid of World War I, but like the Spanish flu killed more people, but it started in America. Yeah, where the bank robberies were happening. But now America is so important because we're so smart with computers and stuff that they really do have to like overthrow us here.